and she would tell us, you know, what she was shopping for, but that hasn't been done in, I don't know, well, I did it when I was here, so it was done 7, 8, and 9, maybe 10.
And I sat with
But-
them last year,
but-
but it wasn't this kind of real scrutiny.
No, and I think,
Looking for-
because we had a dedicated representative for so many years, it was just, you know, it was just a matter-of-fact thing, you know? So, but no, we never did do this.
Before we go any further, because I think the next vote is probably to either switch from Taurus to the new one.
Yes.
But what I will say is, before we do that, if that is what the board wishes to do, and the board does go through with it, I do request that we please send a letter of thanks and appreciation to Taurus
Absolutely.
for their years of service on behalf of the town. Is everybody amenable with
Yep.
that?
Yeah.
Madam Administrator.
So my next request is to, I'm requesting to receive authorization to file a change of broker firm and to go with FB Insure, so I guess higher, FB Insure,
Change of broker form. Okay.
or letter, I mean, it's a letter. But to sign that letter, and that, what that does is authorize our agent at FB Insure to signal to Mega and Trident, who are our current companies, that we can, this individual can shop there on our behalf. And he's also going to be able to shop at the other companies, which spurs competition. That's the whole point. We can get the whole pool. To your point, we're gonna make our pool larger.
And this will be ready for the July 1st budget?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I guess my question before I accept motions on this is this a situation where we have an insurance vendor and we have one contact person, or is this a situation because you know what my concern is, it's a little bit like with Terminal Exchange
Yes,
where
exactly.
you may not get the same person
Right.
to address your concern every time.
So they have, obviously, the local office that's down the street. They have one in Raynham, so I've got two relatively close. The Raynham one's right on 44.
Perfect.
We will have, he said monthly, I said probably every 6 weeks at the most, but to review, to get us going and to make sure that we're meeting those kinds of extras in our insurance stuff, our realm. So a lot of these are trainings, and everybody can go, including board and committee members, to no additional charge to the town, which I like to have the opportunity for.
And you're amenable if this happens and the change occurs and we change vendors, are you amenable to maybe at some point after the change goes into effect in the new fiscal year, that maybe we could have like sort of an update on, you know,
How
if
it's-
we're saving
yes.
money and just, you know,
So you'll get
things
that
like that.
before, because we'll be doing this as part of the budget process, so that we make sure we have the accurate figures. So, yes, you will definitely be updated.
Thank you.
And I think I don't take leaving Torres lightly.
I know.
And it was a difficult decision, and it's difficult for me to even bring it here, but this is the best fit for the town. And I thank you for hearing it. And I hope I said this, I did meet with like 4 different or 5 different people, so this wasn't just, I just picked one. I basically interviewed them.
You met with
Vendors, yes.
representatives from 5 different
Right,
vendors.
right.
Okay. Selectman Pacheco.
So when is that the name now, FB Insure? It's not,
It's not Farrell Buckland.
Okay,
I
so-
asked.
this is the place where the Gooding House used to be?
Yes.
That was torn down? Yeah. So that's,
Oh, where the old video store used to be,
And
that little
and
plaza?
the
gift shop and the
Yeah.
eyeglass.
The fla- it was a flower
eyeglasses,
shop.
the
Flower
flower
shop, and
shop.
it was eyeglass.
It was everything.
Eyeglasses there.
Madam Administrator, or are we accepting motions?
I hope you
Pursuant
are.
to authorizing you to sign the change of broker letter. Accepting motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, and if I'm not wording it correctly, Madam Administrator, please correct me, that the FB Insurer be our agent going forward, and that we terminate our relationship with Taurus. Is that to be a
So
part
we're
of it?
not, they still get us until July
July
1.
1st.
And then we
We
continue
go with
with
them,
FD
so.
Insure. But yes.
Is that motion okay?
Yes.
So we will not be renewing.
Correct, and with them, and authorize me to send that change of broker of record.
I
I'll
thought we
second
did that
Did I
in
say
the-
that? Okay,
I
I'm
thought,
sorry.
no, I thought we did that in the prior, but that's okay.
I'll second.
So,
We have a motion and a second discussion? And again, if this gets approved, that we please send them. And for this one, I would like that, if it's okay with everyone, we all sign it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Any further discussion? And thank you for your honesty. I know it's not, when you come to a small town and, you know, there are a lot of relationships that happen over the years, so I know this was probably not the easiest thing to bring to us, but I do think there's a certain credibility when things are hard like this and you bring them to us. I know that you're doing it because it really is
That's right.
within the best interest of the town, so I appreciate that.
Just, and this is going to be, this company will handle workers' comp, liability, property damage, you know, wind, hail, all of the kind of insurance the town needs.
Exactly.
Okay.
The only thing that's separate is our 111F coverage, which we went out differently last year and saved about $16,000, so.
Okay,
It's good to shop around in insurance. I learned in my class this term, which I love, called the threat of replacement. So it's good for competition to keep that alive.
Oh, absolute leverage. Also, shopping is never a bad thing.
111F is workman's comp, is that? No?
111F is injured in the line of duty for public safety. So sort of like workers' comp, but a little bit different benefits
Right, it's
wise.
separate though, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is, I've been here before talking about network administration. We are, thanks to Karen here, we have a beautiful new phone system that we're working on ironing out all the wrinkles,
Yes.
but
Thank you very much for that,
Karen,
Mrs. Brady.
has done yeoman's work.
I know.
There has been some struggles. Same to Chief McGee has really stepped in, Sergeant Cronin has really stepped in, but we are now one town with one phone system. Similarly, I would like one town, one network system. The current vendor is not great for us. It's not working out for us. I went out to bid for different companies last year, if you remember. They were the low bidder by a significant amount. We stayed with them and took this time to really figure out what we want, what we need, and how do we get it.
Did you realize you get what you pay for?
Yes.
Is that what happened? Okay.
Although he's cheaper, so this next person is cheaper, so I don't want to say that too much. So Sergeant Cronin, working on the network stuff for the police station, went out and interviewed a bunch of people, and he found somebody. He said, "This guy's really great. I know that you're interested in having somebody else. Will you talk to him?" So I did, and I explained to him all of the trials and tribulations. We've talked out a plan about what we need, and it's a good one. It saves us money. It's less annual subscriptions and more bringing everything in-house. So email servers,
Yep.
that we're gonna bring mail in-house instead of doing this cloud-based system and paying per email. We can have 8 million, we can have 1, we're gonna pay the same. So-
And local control. So
Local
just so
control.
my colleagues know, because I'm aware of this from helping with the website when we revamped that, we have no local control in terms of creating an email address. We actually have to contact Terminal Exchange. Terminal, please don't take this the wrong way, but it was seldom that they did it correctly, meaning there would be an issue with logging into the email address after it was created. Selectman Pacheco had an issue.
Yeah.
Selectman Goulart still can't get in hers
Nobody's been
from-
untouched.
from
of it.
9 years ago.
I know.
So there's an issue, and it's another issue when you go to contact them. You send an email to a automated email address. You get a different person every time. So what I am saying, public, is it is extremely valuable to have this be in-house because you're not getting charged every time. The town of Dayton hires someone new or a new selectman comes to the board, and you have to create them an email address. So actually, you're probably going to save money in the long run, and then it's limitless in terms of, for example, everybody in Dayton Fire Department could have an email address, and instead of being charged each time you go to create one for everyone,
It's free.
it's free. And side note, this is really great in terms of public records because now everybody is on a town email system and all of their records
Yes.
are public rather than folks using their private email addresses, right?
Right. So we're going to, the plan, if the vote is favorable to hire, it's Chris Rauner of Netrospect. He's close by in Somerset, so very, very responsive. He can remote in and do some work, and he only charges if he comes on site. So if he can handle it, that's it. But he's given a quote of $125 per hour to take on any sort of technical issue we have. The plans we've rolled out, if this goes forward, we would purchase the email server. It would be housed at the new police station, so nice and climate controlled and all of that good stuff. And everybody would have that Town of Dayton email, and we could get started with that. We would roll that out immediately.
Madam Administrator, I don't mean to interrupt. Does the actual email address stay the same, meaning bzografos@townofdayton.com? Does that
So-
change?
Right, we're in conversations about that, because right now we pay for two separate domain names. One is townofdayton.com, we pay that through Terminal. The other is dayton-ma.gov, which is our website. The .gov is the big deal, right? It's a little
It's
extra.
through the federal
It's through the federal, you
government.
have a lot of scrutiny before you get it. So the talk with Mr. Rauner was to make all the emails, bzografos@dayton-ma.gov, pay for one domain name.
Okay.
While we are rolling this out and phasing out terminal services, start telling everybody, hey, my new address is going to be bzografos@dayton-ma.gov, and set everybody up. And Chris would handle a migration,
Okay.
and you can use Microsoft Outlook to, it's called pointing. You point the old email address
I
to
was-
the new one.
It's like you read my mind. So my concern, of
Had
course,
a lot of
would-
conversations about
my,
this.
my concern would be like, for example, if I wasn't so computer savvy, we would need to have it set up so if someone emails the
Right.
.com one, it goes to the new .gov.
And we don't have to.
Automatically forwarded.
Right, so we don't have to change that. We can keep townofdayton.com for a little while, and it's only that you're paying for two domain names. So if we're looking to save,
It's
just switch to one domain. We're already paying for it for the website, we're not getting rid of it.
And
over.
and
So
we
that's a
need to
conversation.
keep, and just so the public knows, we need to keep the .gov one because that one takes paperwork. I think it takes, like, there's a certain time, it takes a while to get that, and we do have it, so we're very lucky.
It's
So I
a
do
big
think
deal,
that we
yes.
should keep that.
So, this vote that I'm looking for tonight is to hire Chris to be our vendor, who would replace Terminal. I want him to start now, so that this migration of converting from this cloud-based system with email and our, what Karen's using right now is Microsoft Office, this would now be purchased instead of annual license fees, a 3-year, what you would buy at your home would be a product, and it would load onto your computer. We are gonna do that.
And that is
And
a
that
big,
saves annually.
and the reason it does is because for folks at home, as you know, if you go to buy Microsoft Office at, Office Max or wherever, it is a couple $100s. It's not that expensive for the email address to have that access, but you do pay more. The reason why I feel that is a little bit of a waste is because you only need that download once. Once you have Microsoft Office, you have Microsoft Office. It makes no sense to keep paying for that every month. So that is why I support this very much.
So Chris would walk us through that as well. And then he would also establish better firewalls. And because he's local and so close, I expect, and the expectation has been laid, that we would get quick response and quick service. He's been helping with the police station, new police station being up and running, and it's gone famously. So
And I think that's important.
I'm very confident in the skills of this individual. I feel comfortable with him. He took my concerns and he told me how it can work for us, and that's worth, a great, it's not my only job to be into this network thing, obviously. So if I can trust somebody that they know what I'm looking for and they've told me how they're gonna build it and what they're gonna do, and it's cheaper than what our current option is,
I think
It's a
you
good one.
need to have a vendor, an individual, a contact person, local, because there have been many times, and you've been here and we've both seen it, where folks have issues, technical issues with the equipment, the computer, whatever it is, the server, the network, and they have to come down. Now, when we have Terminal, they don't come down the same day. They may not even come down the same
Don't take it the
week.
wrong way.
Correct.
They're
So,
very
and that's just because
they
they're
know
not,
we're not.
they're not down the road, basically, and
it's
they're a
not
bigger
just-
company.
I just want to make the point that it's not just over email that we're doing this. There's a kiosk in Old Town Hall that needs to be set up for the building inspector. We've all heard about that with the permit fees, which is a great public service. Sitting there not set up. The assessor has 3 computers that need to be set up. Whenever they do come in, something always happens. We lose something. We're missing this. We need to call them back. Emails are really just the tip of the iceberg, and I wouldn't be doing this if it was just email. This is really
It's a network.
everything.
Correct.
And then it's been so hobnob and patch. Some people are included, some people aren't. Ugh, it's like a messy web, and I want to just get it out and build a new one that is clean, high tech, faster and better response time
And
for
local
recalling and
So
local.
we will get the server out of this building. It'll be located where there's going to be
The
24.
server's
This is a separate
cloud-based,
email
so
server.
it's like
The
imaginary.
server that's still in the town accountant's office needs to be replaced.
Okay.
Eventually, when we talk about town hall
Okay,
renovations,
that's all the
that will
other
be moved.
applications?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all
So we
right.
do still have annual costs for things like the certificate on the website, the backup software to make sure that we're keeping our records and all of that good stuff. Those are annual, but they're very minimal. They're less than $500 each. So the savings as far as that is more than what you are spending annually for these licenses for Microsoft Office and all of that.
And by the way, public, it was a lot of work, for example, for Mrs. Brady to keep up with. It is just, people come and go, that is life, and having to do all this legwork every time someone comes and goes it makes no sense, so, it is 9 o'clock, so
What's the name
if
of
we
your
don't have
company?
any other.
Yes, I was going to
It's
say.
Netrospect.
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 Okay, I had Metro.
At a rate of $125 an hour, and I'm also looking for a, please proceed to do the email thing, the
Okay,
Move
so
to
the
an
first
in-house
vote
email
is
system.
to go with Netrospect from Terminal Exchange, and the second one is to bring the email server in-house.
And
Okay.
third would be to not renew the contract with Terminal Services that expires June 30th of this year.
Okay, I am accepting motions.
Thank you.
When do you want Netrospect appointed, to begin when?
Now, if possible, so that he can start rolling everything out, we can have a smooth transition, so tomorrow.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we hire Netrospect as soon as possible
I'll second
at
it.
a rate of $125 per hour to handle in-house, and accept his in-house email proposal, email server
Two
proposal.
birds, one stone, I
Yeah.
like it.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
I would just ask, sometime in the future, if again, like with the insurance, we could just have maybe a mid-year or as part of the next year's budgets, a little comparison. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes, and I believe now we need,
I was just thinking of, when we were budgeting this, remember how we went around and around if it was gonna be a real person or a business?
Yep.
We wanted a real person.
I know.
Now we're getting,
Yeah, exactly. So thank you.
Well,
for
it's a
bringing-
vendor, it is a vendor, but it's
But
one
there is
guy,
a-
and he's our guy, and he, he knows
We're
it.
not sending an email to
We
an
wanted-
automated email.
we were looking for personal service, one-on-one.
Kidding.
Come when we call you.
Not a, we've created a work
Exactly,
ticket for you.
Exactly.
All right, all those so we already took that vote.
Yep.
Now we need a motion and a vote on not renewing Terminal's contract as of July 1st, 2019.
I'll make a motion,
June 30th, yes.
June 30th.
Letting it expire.
I'll make a motion that we not renew the contract with Terminal effective June 30th, 2019.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And again, just wanted to thank you for doing all that legwork and that research and having all the conversations. So it's very, keeping the town.
Mrs.
At the
Brady
top of
will be
mind.
relieved.
No, exactly, that's it, it's just no more of this network stuff for us.
And I didn't mean, excuse me, Mrs. Brady, not that first of all, I had to do the running around too, and it was just a waste of time is what I meant to say. It was not the wisest investment in time. There's an easier way, and you've shown us that, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Madam Administrator.
Okay, I'm back asking for a payment authorization form for a variety of budgets, and I also have listed here vendor contracts. I don't mean all vendor contracts. What I mean by that is things like, if I could sign the contract with Chris. The town accountant requires these be on file. Originally, when I first started, it got kicked back. Now that the bylaw is in effect,
Okay.
it designates me as the manager of day-to-day, and I think that would suffice. So I'm looking for, it doesn't have to be all BOS budgets, and I want to just make a point, I am not looking to sign town council. I firmly believe that that should still be a duty here. But what I'm looking for is to be able to sign off bills that go through data processing specifically, because I'm going through this, and some other incidentals that come up, public
So I
buildings.
think we're
things like
covered on town council because we passed that policy, and I'm pretty sure it states, maybe it says Board of Selectmen or Town Administrator, but I thought it said
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, so if it comes from us,
Right.
so that, you're not
And we have to,
chancing on
we
it.
have to appoint him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well,
Yep.
so I'm just looking, I don't want the payment authorization
Yeah.
form to be town council. That, I just want to
Yeah,
make that clear.
yeah,
Okay.
I understand.
Thank you.
No problem. I was just making it clear that there was already sort of
Yeah.
a limitation on it
Sure.
anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any questions about this?
And this form's not filled out because I didn't know where you would fall, so I didn't want to just write everything, but we'll fill in what you
We can,
list.
that's fine.
Sure. Thank you.
Based on the vote tonight.
Exactly.
All right, so I am accepting motions.
What does vendor contracts mean?
So, the roof, we just replaced the highway garage roof, and I made sure that all of the certified payrolls were in, and that the procurement was correct, and that the job was done, and verified with the building inspector that we were all set and good to go, and I
When did
wanted
this
to.
roof project start for the highway?
December?
Oh my, that was a quick roof replacement, so
Yeah.
it can be
They
done
were
quick.
super fast, they were
Okay.
very fast.
That's good to know.
And
Can we
it's under
get the
budget, by the
person
way.
who did that in contact with the school district, please? Because, anyway.
Different
I
roof,
digress.
different roof, different scope.
Correct.
So things like that, where I handle it start to finish, I'm a little bit more of the contract administrator on a project like that. So that's what I'm looking for, that kind of
And that makes
ability.
sense.
So are you asking to change this form then, or? 'cause
No,
there
we would
won't be-
update the form to list the specific budgets. So I'm looking, specifically right now today, what I really need is data processing. If you want me to come back and be specific, I'm fine doing that. But the
I have
data
no-
processing
I have
budget.
So where would you list them? Special notations?
Right.
Or,
Right. Like BOS budgets not to include town council, or, you know, something broad like that.
Oh, we can kind of,
Blanket it
Yeah.
like that. Mhm. And if the town accountant's looking for something more specific, I'll be back here.
yep, absolutely.
So are you looking to be able to sign off on these? Is that
It's
exactly?
like signing a bill. So if I have to charge something to data processing because I'm buying the mail server, I can sign the bill.
So I'll make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to be able to sign bills for the data processing budget, Board of Selectmen's budget, not including the town council, vendor contracts, and insurance.
second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
And that concludes my reports. Sorry.
I wish I could say your work is done this evening. Okay, so the first item under old business is 7A, Town Administrator Budget Review. Madam Administrator, my question for you is, based on a conversation we had previously, do you still want to have the discussion, or are you going to submit your budget and you will allow the board at a future meeting, maybe next week or whatever? We'll get to that public.
Option B.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And then we'll discuss
We'll
it.
discuss it then.
Okay.
So I have just, like every other department head, submitted my budget to the town accountant, and we'll be back before you with a more rigorous review of the budget. Thank you very much. Regarding data processing, you did already approve this. It is back in front of you because the assessors have some computer fees, and I've had to make an increase. And these are related to Vadar, some other items, and they're all legitimate valuation things that they take care of. It's software related. The two items that were really specific to assessing, I asked her to include in her own budget, because why would we sign off on something like that? She would be the end user, and she would be able to tell us if it happened. So those two items went in there, but it did increase slightly from what you had previously approved at an earlier meeting. I will make the distinction, though, that it is still a decrease overall year over year from last year. So the line I changed specifically was, where is it? 5302, assessor's computer fees, and that's now at 11,621. New software for bridge billing, a new valuation system. Every 3 years, I think, is a value year, so this is.
That's correct. I do want to note, one thing that made me really happy is, so when we redid our website, we changed our vendor, lots of changes, Dayton, but they're good changes. And so the first 3 years was around the same price we had been paying, except we had an actual functional website, which was great. Now that we've hit our 4th year, I believe, we had a 5-year contract. It's reduced almost by half, meaning the cost that it is to have that website, regardless of how much data that we put on it, meaning documents, all that, the price is reduced. And so that will continue going forward. So now we're reaping the benefits of that contract. So that's great. Colleagues, did we have any questions about the data processing budget review before I accept motions to reapprove this as presented here this evening?
Now that we got the grants from various places to get, updated this, that, and the other, are all of our departments that would have billing and receiving capabilities, are we all together now in one system?
We are very close. The sewer commissioner, the sewer department did not want to, they wanted to send out their last billing on the old system because there were still some discrepancies. So instead of getting it wrong they waited.
Okay.
But we have to, by the contract, be done by June 30th, and they are finalizing.
So we
But it-
have everything we need to do that.
Yes.
July
The
1st.
recurring costs that are going up is actually in the sewer budget, so you'll see that increase.
Oh,
It went from 3,000 to 8,000.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so I am accepting motions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this preliminary data processing budget as presented.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
If you would just please sign one copy, I'll make sure the accountant gets that, and we'll have an updated record for her files.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Now, on the agenda, we have to set the date for the special town meeting and open the warrant, and we do have, our town administrator wouldn't just leave us high and dry, so we do have some guidance on this and some recommendations. Now, proposed dates for the special town meeting. February 13th, we would open the warrant, so that would be today. Okay. And then March 4th, I worked from home today, so the days
You don't know what day it
meld
is.
into one. March 4th, close the warrant, and March 14th, posting date. My only question for you is, and I think I know the answer, what would the actual date be?
Yeah, this
And
schedule's
then
based on a town
is the
meeting,
town
yes.
moderator and FinCom
So,
okay with that?
moderator and FinCom are okay. The two dates I proposed were March 21st, March 28th. The schedule that you just recited is based on a March 28th town meeting. The cafetorium at the middle school is available, the high school is not, and I didn't know if we wanted to try Old Town Hall. This may bring out a lot of people, I don't know. March 21st, I'm not sure about the rooms. I didn't have Karen ask about that, but I know the cafeteria might not be ideal, acoustics-wise, but it's up to you. If you didn't like that, we would reach out.
My only issue, so I would love to have it at Old Town Hall. My only issue is so many people end up showing up and then we just can't have it, which would be, nobody wants to come back, you know what I mean?
Right. Which is why, the cafeteria is.
Yeah, and we have traditionally done them there at the Dayton Middle School cafeteria, right? Okay. I have no issue with that. Does anyone have a preference between the 21st and, what, is that a Monday, Selectman Goulart?
Thursday.
They're both Thursdays.
Thursday. I thought we normally did them on Mondays. Am I wrong about that?
No, but I probably
The
looked
annual's
at
always
Thursday,
the Monday.
'cause-
We're also looking at opening on the 13th of now, and then you gotta allow all
Okay,
that
and then-
extra
okay,
time.
Okay, so
So if
there,
it's early, everything is pushed up a week. I like the 28th due to, this is all coming because of Council Oak and the farming opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the 28th because it gives us a lot of time to be able to take care of that item.
and the town moderator is okay with either?
Both, yes.
You were gonna say
So,
something.
yeah, no, I'm
Selectman
okay with the
Chief.
28th.
Okay, me as well. I'm not gonna,
That's fine
the
with me.
more time the
Okay,
better.
great. So we're looking
We'll
for a
take a
vote
vote.
to
Yep.
establish that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm accepting motions on setting the date for the special town meeting as March 28th, 2019.
I so move.
Should
Wait a minute,
we
excuse
do
me.
a time?
Just a minute. We gotta vote to open the warrant and set the closing date first. Don't we have to do that?
Well, we need to establish
Set
the date
date
first and then the.
Oh, I'm
then
just
the-
looking at the way this is, all right. Okay, all right, so we're opening, all right, town meeting is 3/28.
Yes.
So we have that motion and that second.
Can we combine, can we do all of it at once?
Sure, but you've already got a second, so I think
Okay.
you need to do that one, and then you can set
Do
the.
we need an amendment for the time, or do we set the time some other time? It's usually 7 PM.
It's gonna be 7.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second on March 28th, 2019. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, that motion passes. Now I'm accepting motions pursuant to the opening of the warrant.
Can we do opening and
can close
closing
at the same-
together?
yes.
All right, so
Okay.
opening is the 13th, and closing, February 13th, and closing is
March 4th,
3/4.
most militant day
Mr.
of the year.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we set the date to open the warrant for the special town meeting to today, February 13th, and the closing date for the warrant, March the 4th.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? How do we get the word out to the departments? Do we send like a memorandum?
Yeah, the
Got a
department head
department
meeting
meeting
Oh,
tomorrow.
that's right, okay, perfect. Good timing. You always.
And
plan
they
that.
already know, I've already got a couple. It's hilarious. I think that's so funny, though.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, that motion passes, and this actually gives a little more time than normal to get it mailed,
Sent out.
everything posted.
Yes,
Cool, all right.
The next item is about Council Oak, as I indicated. So we have an RFP. It's due tomorrow at 12 PM here. As part of this process, we need to have a review panel. What the review panel is charged with is they take the RFP, they take the ratings listed in that, they rank the proposers, and then provide a recommendation to me as a chief procurement officer, and collectively, we provide a recommendation to the Conservation Commission on which proposer is the most advantageous
So-
of the bunch.
Why is it done that way? And I know you are correct on it. My question is, I guess this is my question, okay? Is it specifically a review panel for that specific RFP,
Yes.
or are we putting something in place for future RFPs?
No. This is
Okay.
specific to this project, to this proposal. So I am here requesting that it be Selectman Goulart, Highway Superintendent Tom Ferry, and I forget his title. which
Matthew
is-
Carr.
Right, Matt, but what is he?
He's the farm manager.
The farm manager, Matthew
Aggie
Carr
School.
from the Aggie School. And thank you to Bristol Aggie, who's partnering with us once again. They did help us, figure out some soil stuff, so that they were very,
Yeah, great.
very helpful.
We had suggested another name, and the superintendent director talked to that individual, and the two of them talking said this gentleman would be a better choice because he's the farm manager. He lives over there.
Nice, perfect.
So, I'm requesting that, and then once that is the case, I'm, by design, this is right before the due date, because I didn't want the panel to be a public entity before. I didn't want anyone to know who it was, so that they could be completely unbiased and.
So, I'm sorry, Selectman
No,
Pacheco.
I'm ready to make a motion. So,
Okay, that were all I was
Trying to
gonna
speed
say,
things
I'm
up.
ready to accept
I'm
it.
going to make a motion that we appoint for the Council Oak Review Panel, Selectwoman Nancy Goulart, Tom Ferry, and Matthew Carr.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. And thank you not only to Selectman Goulart, who has been working on this, but also Town Administrator Aaron Steen, and to Mr. Ferry and Mr. Carr as well for being pivotal, and the Aggie School in general. So we appreciate that.
We're gonna get free veggies.
There's always an ulterior motive.
Or hay.
Yeah, we'll take either. Probably the vegetables more.
I'll take the hay.
You can have it.
This next item is just a point of ratification for
Yep.
the police contract.
So just so the public knows, as I recall, we voted to approve the memorandum of agreement for the police contract in executive session. So we are here, as is proper procedure, to ratify it at a public meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we ratify the memorandum of agreement with Police Officers Local 306 relative to work hours on Christmas Eve. That's it.
Period.
She's like, what do you want?
I'm looking at the rest of it saying, what else do I want to
I
say?
thought you were reading, I'm sorry.
No, I was just looking for more than Christmas Eve.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say for the record that it's not really a monetary change, it's a clarification in contract language.
Which affects interpretation. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. We have already completed 8E, so we are moving on to 8F, which is to vote the substantial completion of the Dayton Police Station. For those who are not aware, our police department and our amazing dispatchers are in their new home. Happy, I hope. And we are here tonight since we have hit the substantial completion date and passed it of January 25th, 2019, to formally approve this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we vote to accept.
Award, it's
Award
substantial completion.
the substantial completion of the Dayton Police Station Communication Center.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I do have one question, and it's for clarification. There is a cost here. I don't think that this item comes with a cost. What is this $14,050? Is that something that needs to be in the motion, is my question.
Where are we, cost estimate work to be
Co-
I believe that is the remaining work to be done. So substantial completion's awarded at 1%, so this is just the remaining work
Okay.
to be done. There is a punch list. The committee is going through that. There's already some items that have been taken care of. And he says primarily completed with only a few remaining items, which are being worked on now and scheduled to be resolved this week.
Okay.
So,
All right.
doing great.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Okay. I thought the clerk of the board does these. Is that wrong?
I mean, he can. Does it
Specifically
Does it
say that,
specify
Laura?
him?
No.
Is there a space for all three of you, or no?
Nope.
So it would be you as the chairman?
Thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
I remember one time I was the clerk and I had to sign something really important.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it
the
said
bond.
specifically the clerk.
Correct.
That was the bond.
Yeah.
And you were here signing away your life. That was the bond.
Thank you for being patient and waiting.
Wait till they send you those monthly mortgage statements.
Those are going to Selectmen Pacheco.
Oh, okay.
Direct
Thank
route.
Mail forwarding.
All right. Next on our agenda, we have 2 change orders. I think it's fitting that we do them one by one, of course, unless you'd like to do them together. The first one is for order number 3. And my understanding on this item is that this requires a vote this evening to extend Tecton's contract up to an additional maximum of $15,000, which is based on the email that was sent to us on January 15th, 2019. So we have read this before. Is there anything you wanted to add,
I
Madam
just want to
Administrator?
add that Taylor McDonald from Pomeroy Associates did allude to this in his presentation, so now we have the documents, and it is for the architects to kind of wrap us up through this last bit, the punch list items, and it is requested as part of change order 3.
And the reason it's a maximum of $15,000, not to exceed whatever language we're gonna use, is because it's $5,000 per month projected for a total of 3 months, as I understand. So, did we have any questions before I accept motions on this?
This is a little less than what they got paid in the past, correct?
Yeah, he's
Is
giving
this
us a-
6,500? Is that correct?
That's what their rate was.
Right,
I
but
mean,
now
my
it's,
real thought is that it's 2.5 months and not really 3,
Yeah.
so they're giving you 5, so
Oh, is this like a marketing thing? Okay, well, it's
We're
okay.
great, we're giving you a
They've done a
break,
good
but they're
job,
not
so we can be conciliatory and magnanimous.
This is coming out of the contingency, right?
yes, the project is still under budget.
Right,
and
that's
within
what he
budget,
was talking
yes.
about. He didn't know if it was 250 or 260, what the
Exactly.
number was gonna be.
Yep, and they don't get paid for work they don't do, so if everything's miraculously wrapped up,
They don't
they
get the
don't get it
15,
just because
yeah,
of, it's
course.
a limit.
Of course. So if there are no further questions, I am accepting motions pursuant to change order number 3 this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 3 as outlined.
I'll second that motion.
Excuse me. Madam Administrator, do we have to specifically have the language extend the Tecton contract not to exceed
You can if
15,000?
you want, but this is contingent upon change order 3, so they're linked in together, and we've made the distinction that this comes with it as part of our discussion tonight. It's in the record, so I don't see why you need it.
Okay, just making sure. My concern was not to exceed 15,000, if that specific language.
So that is it. I
But
mean,
that was their request, was not to exceed it,
Right.
so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
change order 4.
Yep, if we could start the discussion on change order 4. I just wanted to point out to my colleagues, because it wasn't entirely clear to me when I got the packet, that change order 4 actually includes proposals 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 24. So this is multiple proposals in the same change order.
That's what all these lists are, right?
Correct,
So
yes.
you have I mean, we gave you quite a bit here, but you have the punch list, and then you have the whole change proposals for number 4. So this is, remember when Taylor was here, he had also given you this spreadsheet saying, this is everything that's before us, some are under review.
There was a log of
Yes.
all the outstanding
Exactly.
work orders.
So this is some of that has been reviewed by the committee, and they've, moved forward with continuing this process.
Great. Do either of my colleagues, so again, the total for all of these, as I understand, is $27,942.51, which is still under that, I forget what the
He
exact
said
figure was.
45. They
Correct.
all tallied into 45, but didn't mean they were all, that they were all gonna
You
be
may not
reviewed.
use.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, which again, coming out of the contingency. We're still under budget.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we approve change order number 4, not to exceed $27,942.51 as presented.
I will step down.
I have questions about it. so-
Sure, oh, no, I'm sorry.
Sure, so I don't know if it's going to be part of the discussion, but,
Okay, I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. Selectman Pacheco.
well, I would like to know why we have these change orders. I mean, I don't understand some of these costs associated to install a 120-volt power and fire alarm module. Was that part of the original order? Why is it a change? I mean, there was just some stuff here. They put a 4x8, somebody made a request to put a 4x8 MDF board up, and it cost over $1,000. We paid someone 4 hours to paint this 4x8. We paid $8, I know it's all pennies, in a sense, $8 and something to buy a 2-inch brush to paint this. Who paints a 4x8 board with a 2-inch brush? I would like some explanation. I would like somebody to come in here and go through these orders and explain to me, the board, as to why these things were changed. They may very well all be legitimate. And when we're saying it's under budget, I understand we had $400,000 in contingency fees. We're spending that, so it's going above budget. That's money that's been allocated, that if there's an emergency or something has to be changed, the taxpayers are going to pay an additional up to $400,000. But it's still taxpayers' money, so we can't just, somebody can give me an estimate to have my roof done for $10,000 and say, don't worry about paying for it because you have that in your checking account. No, it's taxpayers' money, so it's not a lot of money. I'm sure they're probably all reasonable, but there were just some concerns here. Why are we changing some locks? Why are we changing some outlets? Why wasn't that part of the original plan? Why is it costing the town, and it's costing the town, money for these changes? So I have concerns, so I know they came in the past, and whether they need to come back
These are
again.
explained in that log, though, as I
I
understand.
went through everything here, and there's things that I don't understand.
No, but what I'm saying, so if I were to just go through the change proposals without looking at the explanation on the log, I would also have no idea what they meant. So the point was to go through those with the log, and then, but you may
Yeah.
still not be satisfied.
I'm
so I
not
get you-
satisfied, so
get your
I
point.
went through,
I totally get it.
everything, so
I'll just
I
make
can't
a,
support this
So
at
are
this
you
point.
wanting to,
I want someone to-
Yeah.
Are you just wanting to wait to vote, and I'm just talking about you, you would feel more comfortable taking a vote on this after hearing the explanation?
Absolutely. That's my,
can we put this on next week's agenda so we don't hold up anything? If we can get,
Wednesday, the 20th, right?
yeah, next week.
how much are we
I mean-
putting now on,
What's that?
is that meeting now become,
Well, we'd want Mr. McGee to come in, too.
Mr. Reed would have to come in.
Yep.
Yeah. And I just want to make the point, I'm not trying to stand up for them, but change orders happen. Things like an electrical outlet you brought up, sometimes it doesn't work where it is with the equipment that's in there, so you do have to change it. I mean, I was in there and I said, I have to ask the question, I need to make sure these cells actually lock, because there was a building built in Boston, and the cells to the doors didn't lock to the cells. And so, sometimes like silliness happens, so that's why a change order comes in, and there is a limit.
But
I just
why-
want the public to know
Sure.
that it's not just these frivolous, we don't like, this color, we're gonna change it. Sometimes there's real, construction issues.
Sure, I mean-
This is a giant
I think
list, so I
his-
get it. I
his-
just,
somebody asked to put a 4x8 MDF board in a certain spot in the
No,
police
I
station.
know.
It may very well have been legitimate.
Right.
I want to know why that
Right.
wasn't part of the
Correct.
original
Yes.
plan.
Why was
And
that
I'm
not?
That when we
not,
went
uh,
before the taxpayers, this
right.
is how much it's going to cost you to build this police station. So
My
I just,
concern
I'm
is
just
holding
afraid that the-
anything up by not doing this. Was there
That's what
ever, did we
happens.
hear from anybody? Did they say
I
we
heard
have to
that
do this
they-
tonight?
I asked Mr. McGee.
They're already in the building, so I'm not
Yeah.
concerned about
we're
delaying.
not taking stuff out. I mean,
Correct,
that's,
yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so,
I
I
know
mean-
you're not suggesting.
I asked Mr. McGee, what's the process that it goes through? And by the time it reaches us, it's been approved by Taylor, the review committee, as a
Police
warranted change. So I don't have any answers as to what it is, why is it necessary? I mean, I can't give you that information. I can't give you the information that it hasn't been completed either. I don't know. I don't know if they're waiting for you, to be honest. Should they?
Is-
Yes, but I don't know if they are.
just a
And we
general,
also don't know if they'll come in next week. Like
Mr.
Taylor may
McGee
just.
will, I'm
Of course,
sure,
Mr.
yes,
McGee will,
but,
but
yeah.
I don't know if.
We can try. I mean, we can put it on there, we can try.
They may very well all be legitimate costs.
Oh, I
It's just
understand,
that
yeah.
the last time they were before us, I made a comment that we're not here just to rubber stamp, and somebody got all upset. We don't rubber stamp, but that's exactly what we're doing if we don't get the information that we need to make a good judgment on this. I may very well next week support everything that's here. I just went through some stuff and have some questions, and have somebody come before us and explain to us this. It's $27,000.
I just want to make a general comment about change orders. And it's probably because I've had experience with building schools and filing the reports and seeing all the change orders and all that. And when you say, why wasn't it part of the original? The thing is, change means there was something in the original, but whatever was put in the original now has to be changed. And the only way you can do it is with a change order.
I get all of that, but why wasn't it, and why does it have to be changed? Why are we changing locks on the doors for the cells? Why wasn't it figured out way back when? Hinges, we're paying $395 per hinge to change on these doors. Why wasn't that part of
I don't know if
the,
this is exactly related to that, but when I was over at the other town hall, and something came up about a Board of Health responsibility. Evidently, somebody from the state, and I think it was Department of Public Health, came down to look at the setup for the cells and looked at it and said, that's
not
not
enough."
acceptable, and they said, you've got to change that. And I think it was Mr. Pius was talking to me about, he says, we had no idea about that, but it was somebody from the state. So I don't know if that's the particular instance you're talking about. There's something that, it was at state DPH that
It's
said,
the,
so.
Yes, it's
but-
it's DPH and what they do. I have a letter from them authorizing about standard completion, and they will make sure that it's all set.
I know it
Come
had
in.
something
Which
to
is
do with
fine.
cells,
I
that's
just-
all I know.
I want somebody to come in and tell me that,
No,
if that's.
I
if that's a
totally
situation.
We'll reach out
understand.
to them to do that.
Well, what I will say is, so I'm prepared to vote to approve these tonight, because just like Selectman Goulart, so first of all, I agree with you that we should retain the right to call someone in and explain something, especially when we're approving money. That's without question. The issue for me tonight is, we know they need this. We know that even if their explanation for something was, we didn't think something out, and now we have different information, we still have to approve this. If we don't approve this, they can't put the old, now I'm giving an example, they can't put the square into the round peg because they didn't know that that's how it was. So at the end of the day, I think we still need to approve these. Yes, it is a bit of a rubber stamp because
Well-
the project wouldn't get done without it, but that's just like when we have a bunch of, like a Proposition 2.5 override for the schools and we've hit crisis mode, you need to support it at the end of the day because that's the situation that you've been put in, so, it's kind of a conundrum. in this
But
is
I
what I'm
also
saying.
think that if we approve this tonight, and we have somebody come in and give us, answer some questions next week, and something comes up that we hear as a board is not acceptable, we have the right to say to them, that is not acceptable. If you have already done it, you're gonna change it. If it's not done, we won't approve it. So we still have that control. That's my only thought on this.
Yeah, I wasn't disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is sometimes it is what it is, basically, and that you live with the situation as it is. So we have a
So-
motion, I'm sorry.
So just for clarification then, you're saying that if this is approved, we're still gonna have somebody come in next week and explain something to us?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Oh,
I'm
Ms.
saying yes, I think if the vote is a 2-1, or 2 and an abstention, you as a board member certainly have the right to say, I've got questions about some of these things, and I would like somebody to come in and just answer the questions about, pick out whichever, not only that, you'll have a chance to look even more at this and say, why was that necessary, or why are we spending X dollars on something that seems to me should be a lot less? So absolutely you have the right to say that. As I say, if something comes up that we, as a 3-member board, hear it and say,
I'm
wait
just
a minute.
concerned about holding something
Yeah,
up,
well,
that's
I
all.
understand that. All I'm saying is certainly Mr. Pacheco has the right to question things and
Absolutely.
get additional information.
So it sounds like what we're leaning towards is we'll have the vote, but then still
Well,
ask them to
I just don't think it makes any sense. If it's approved, and you guys have guys not being a negative term, but you people, select people,
Us people.
You guys.
you guys, which is what I started off with. But if you people vote in favor of this, I have no intention of bringing these people in. I think it's, before you approve it, is when you have that discussion with them.
But
So-
in all fair, can I ask a question? How long was this scheduled to be on this agenda? Like, why didn't anyone raise the concern after January 23rd was our last meeting and say, hey, if we're gonna put these change orders on the agenda, then we need to ask them to come in as well. So I think there needs to be a little bit better planning ahead on our end as well, as a board.
Well, I had asked the last time that we have some people come in, and they came in, so maybe it should have
But
been
if that's-
automatic that this happened
Yeah, I'm
this
not
time.
I'm not blaming
We
anyone.
need to be aware of that expectation that every
Correct.
time there's a change order, they come in, because we'll schedule whoever you want here.
I think that that's an
I
okay
understand that. I also
standard
think
to have.
that it is perfectly acceptable for you individually to go to the building committee and ask your questions anytime, regardless of a change order coming up or not.
We did have an instance too, when we were voting on change orders. If you'll remember, I raised the issue of where is two? There's gotta be a two.
Yes.
So what we did was,
You
because
held
we
it.
didn't know what two is, we kind of put that one on hold, but we approved the other stuff. But certainly, when we found out about two, if there was something there that affected the ones we did approve, we as a board still have the right to say, hold everything. We gotta back this up.
Of
Well,
course.
we've done that for a variety of things with the different contracts, we've done that, that's the point.
I say, since it's 9:42, we roll the dice and let's see how this shakes out. So we have a motion and a
Feeling risky? What is that? Do you feel lucky?
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda this evening is to vote to approve the waiver requests for snowplow drivers. This is pretty standard. We do this, around this time every year. And this particular year, we have received requests from Samuel D. Pine and Sons Excavating, Gregory Mendez, Roger Sussin Jr.? Sisson?
I think it's Sussin.
Okay, excuse me. It was a little hard to read
I
that
know,
one.
I know.
So we received those three. So,
Now, what did Mr. Ferry tell us about the changes in the,
Insurance?
yes?
So, I guess I know so much about insurance right now. The new regulations are that plow drivers need to have a business or commercial plate in order to plow, in order to get that insurance rate. It's a very expensive rate, so people that just have a residential truck don't want to spend the extra money to get that extra coverage. So it was deterring a lot of the hired drivers that we have. For understandable reasons, it just wasn't going to make it monetarily worth it. But that was a change in the law for insurance requirements. That's not, on the town, it's not a town thing. It is a town thing, but it's not a town regulation, it's a state regulation.
All right, so if we, now that that law has changed, if we waive this, the town is accepting
Oh,
responsibility.
I'm sorry, so this is workers' comp.
yeah, this is specifically.
This is
workers'
not
Liability.
liability on your vehicle,
Okay.
so I apologize.
Okay.
All right, I am entertaining motions, if there's no further discussion, pursuant to the approval of the waiver requests before us this evening for snowplow drivers.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm still going through tower papers, good grief.
Yeah, there were, I had to clip them. 'cause
What, yeah, oh,
it's a
okay, I
novel.
finally got to the, okay. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve waiver requests for snowplow drivers for Samuel D. Pine and Sons Excavating. Who's the others?
Gregory
Mendes and Roger Sisson
Sussin,
Jr.
Yeah. I know
Junior.
that one was a hard one.
Okay.
I'll second that, but I would like discussion.
Yep. We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
So is it because they're the only operator?
Correct.
Because, for example, Sam Pines, it's Sam Pines and Sons. So when he says that,
He's signing an
He said-
affidavit
and
Yes.
he's saying,
sole
he's
proprietor
so,
and exempt
and
from
he's-
have
having
no
to.
employees, But yet, as Sam.
And he's saying, like, just like in this email that he sent us, that I, Samuel D. Pine Jr., so I would assume,
And
which
this
is, that is a
is,
good
this
question.
is an affidavit, he signed it,
Yeah.
so,
So
But
second,
the email came
Yeah.
on a,
yeah,
and signed,
letterhead,
so,
right.
you know.
so
that's a good
if
question.
something unfortunately happens, the town's still not liable. And, you know, for workman's comp or anything like that,
He's waiving
He's
his
waiving
right,
it.
he's waiving his right,
Yep.
and he's signing as such.
we're approving of the waiver. Just want to make sure there's no liability to the town, that's all.
Well, there's always liability in it. I don't want to sit
but-
here and tell you there's no liability, but we're.
Are we at risk?
They're requesting a waiver, because we require them to have this workers' comp policy, and you're gonna grant it based upon them being a sole proprietor, which makes them exempt and they don't have to carry it. So it's not anything risky that you're, you know, going out of
risky
the
on
box.
them.
Yeah, it's risky on them.
Correct. So the risk is on them.
Doesn't it also mean they've got to drive the vehicle? They can't hire somebody
Right, that's
because
right.
if they
Yeah,
hire
that's
They have to
somebody.
be their
That was your
own. They can't have an
Yeah.
employee. And this guy could have started his business and had children, but
Yeah.
maybe they didn't join it. So we don't know that. But he's waiving his right. He's testifying and stating that he is a sole proprietor and exempt and doesn't have to
And he's
provide
the,
it.
in their, in effect, he's the driver, or they are the drivers
Right.
of the vehicles.
And their own vehicles.
You're right.
Right.
All right.
I have no
Mo-
other questions.
All right. I am accepting motions.
We already,
I already did that.
Oh, perfect. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes. So it is 9:45. So the next item gets 5 minutes.
Well, we don't even need that.
Perfect. The less
We
the
can do the
better.
next two in less than that.
Perfect. Let's test that.
Mr. Chairman, I
theory.
make a motion that we approve the executed grant of easement for the Center Street Sidewalk project.
I will second that motion.
We
What
have a
this-
motion
And just a quick explanation. All of the properties where the sidewalk went on Center Street that are privately owned will be approved in the next step, which is the order of taking. You cannot execute an order of taking on a municipality or a separate, public entity. And since the county is that, they had to grant an easement to us, for which we're gonna pay $1.
Can
So,
we afford that? Do we
I
need
think
to
we already got the
transfer
money,
funds?
haven't we,
We're
Mrs.
saving it
Brady?
in our data processing budget.
Mrs. Brady's in charge of that dollar. So that's what that is.
Do we have any questions or anything about this?
It's only $1, so just,
He wants
wanna
to
make
see-
that-
He wants the fine print on that.
Getting more out of Matt Carr on our, so.
Yeah, it's spelled out, right,
No, yeah, I
right
read it,
there,
yeah.
right there. Besides that, the sidewalk's already in.
Wait, we couldn't get 50 cents? We should look. I'm just joking. Any further questions on this?
no,
All right, I am entertaining motions.
Already did
we
that.
already did that motion.
I can't tonight.
This is why it's taking more than 5 minutes.
All those in favor say,
Yes.
I should have brought the energy
waiting on
bar.
something that already happened. Okay, perfect. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the order of taking for the Center Street sidewalk easements. These are for all the privately owned easements that we paid for everyone excluding the county. So once approved by this board, they will be recorded at the Registry of Deeds, along with the grant of easement and a Mylar copy of the plans.
I do have one question.
That will be the
Do
end.
we, no, you did a fantastic job. Everyone involved in the Center Street Sidewalk project has done a fantastic
This
job.
is our
I
previously
do-
voted on.
I do have,
Jumping the gun.
I do have one question on
It's
this.
my 5 minutes.
Do we, this is my fault, I'll take ownership. About how many easements were granted?
Oh, boy.
I'm just curious.
Five easements, and then the grant of easement was 6.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Or do we have a motion?
It's already signed,
Okay.
yep.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
You know, she had made the motion, I don't think I actually seconded it, so that there was some confusion, so I did second it for the record, so,
Okay, sorry about that.
because I wasn't sure it was a motion also, so,
Do
but
you stand by?
I stand by,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so we should see
Correct the
Mrs.
record.
Brady. She will,
Just need your signature. So
she'll notarize all of these good things.
You wear many hats too, boss. You do, and we appreciate it very much.
We have 3 notaries in the building, in case anybody's looking for one.
Yeah, why would anyone go anywhere else? Okay. Just give Selectman Goulart a moment.
It is a question that comes up a lot. People are like, hey, where do I?
I've
get a
seen it
notary?
online as
Yeah.
well, so people may not know
Right.
that it's a
3 right
free
here.
service.
We had a day last week, and nobody was here. None of the
Notaries were here?
notaries were
It
here.
was Tuesday. Was it Tuesday of last week?
believe it was Tuesday.
Oh, DJ, yep.
The third one
Well,
wasn't
we're
here
2
also.
of them, so.
Yeah.
Okay, colleagues, so we have received a declaration request to make some fire department property surplus. And specifically, the request is for a 2005 Ford Crown Victoria sedan, a 1991 American General M923 5-ton cargo truck, and a 2000 Crown Electric forklift. Okay.
I make a motion that we declare the 2005 Ford Crown Victoria sedan, the 1991 American General 5-ton cargo truck, and the 2000 Crown Electric forklift surplus property.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have one comment, I'm sorry. We seem to have a lot of surplus coming up, and I know that a lot of these are vehicles. What are you privy to auctions, like a whole event? Or do you do the gov deals, the munici bid? What is the flavor of the
In the past, when we've
board?
had a collection of, especially vehicles,
Yes,
as opposed to computer junk,
yep,
they've put them at the transfer station,
and they've held.
and then they
okay.
put the word out and see what they get for proposals, and then if they don't get proposals, it's, what do we get for junk?
Okay,
If the town mechanic can't cannibalize.
right. Okay, thank you very much.
We just voted, didn't we?
No, I discussed it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes. We've also received a request to accept surplus equipment from the Dayton Water District for use by the Highway Department. And specifically, this request is for one 2,500-gallon plastic tank for molasses, 2 pneumatic drills for splitting rock, and 1 Marlin mud pump used for draining an excavated trench or hole.
Mr.
And the
Ferris.
price is 0.
I love this, for a
We
fair
like that.
price, he says.
Fair
And I
price.
said zero.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request to accept the following surplus property from the Dayton Water District for use by the Highway Department. 1 2,500-gallon plastic tank, 2 pneumatic drills, and 1 Marlin mud pump, as recommended by Mr. Ferry.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes. We've also received a recommendation from the chairman of the 40B committee to appoint Nelson DeMello to the 40B committee. So I am accepting motions pursuant to that.
Could the town administrator speak?
Sure.
Well, let me ask the question then, because
Yep.
were you able to go talk to the clerk?
I wasn't, and I
Okay, so-
apologize for that. My question to Mr. Pacheco this afternoon was there even a vacancy? I wasn't aware there was a vacancy on
There
this.
was a vacancy. I recall it because it was on the, I remember
was
there
on
was
the
a vacancy.
announcements.
Yeah, and then I put it on the announcements because
And
of
then
the
we
vacancy.
filled it, I thought.
With who?
Jonathan.
Jonathan Gale.
There was a vacancy when I left
No,
it as a
that was
ZB.
long time ago.
Yeah,
There's 5 members and 1 non-voting.
I think that's correct. 5 is correct.
I'm sorry,
So
they have 6 sitting members or 6
No.
seats?
5 and then 1
5
non-voting.
and 1 non.
Yeah.
But do they exist right now, or is there a vacancy on one of those?
I didn't
Or that's
see a
what's happening
vacancy,
now.
but that's what they have.
So that's my concern, that there's no vacancy in their request, we can't put him anywhere.
Why? I
There's
don't,
no vacant seat.
but this is
What she's saying
is there a state guideline on how many?
well,
When
that
you
was the question.
develop a committee,
Yeah.
like I'm over here always saying 5 members is
Uh-huh.
good. when you develop a committee, you identify how many states. Some committees do have state statute of how it is. If you appointed him, you would have 6 voting members. So you could vote to create it as like this at-large member, but now you have 6 voters. 3 to 3, 3 to 3. What do you do? What if you're deadlocked all the time? So I don't know if we can table this till next time and try to find out how it was created and.
Yeah, I would like to table and find out.
I'm okay with that.
What should have happened was that when Mr. Pius was here, I didn't think of it quite frankly, but he was the select person at the time. He campaigned on that issue, and he did it, actually did form the 40B committee back in 2008, so he may know something about it.
Okay.
Actually, you were on the.
If I read this right now, this is the report. You can verify the members. Thomas Pius, Charlie Mello,
There's 6 members on it.
Alice Souza, Jonathan Gale, Kenneth Pacheco, and Jason Quinn. And then
That's 6.
Nicole Silent,
She's the-
she's like
She
a
was like
recording.
a recording person, yeah.
All right, okay, so you got 6, so you got 5 voting members and a non-voting member.
Who's the non-voter?
Actually, we never took that into consideration.
So
Mr.
this
Mita.
must be the non-voter.
No, if we
No,
already have
'cause you already
6.
got 6.
No, Nicole.
No.
Oh, 6
1, 2,
besides
3,
Nicole.
4, 5,
Okay.
6.
I don't
So,
recall Alice being on it.
No, she's there.
Oh,
She's the housing
she's been there
authority
from day
rep.
one.
There's someone on that list that is not, I don't think was ever on it. Was Mr. Mello on it?
Yeah, oh yes, he's from day one, Tom Pius, myself.
Mm-hmm.
The new members are Jason Quinn and
Jonathan.
Jonathan Gale.
Okay.
Now, can we make well, it's not on the agenda, so I'm not sure we can make a motion, but I don't mind, being on the 40B committee, I don't mind adding another person to the committee to make it 7 and have them all be voting members.
Okay, I'm actually gonna request this table because I'd like to know
That-
how the committee was
That's-
started in the first place.
That's totally fine.
and the committee should
Hold
tell
on,
us
hold
whether or
on.
not they
It's gonna
want
be okay.
another
We're gonna be
person.
okay. Here's what's gonna happen. The reason why this can be delayed is because,
I'm sorry.
the reason this can be
This
delayed.
is what's gonna happen, whether you guys vote against it or not. This is,
The reason this can be delayed is because the document's already done. This is not, I don't feel like this is something we have to come up
Right.
with the decision tonight. The document's like not
We
in the
need to know how the
balance.
committee feels anyhow.
Exactly.
I'm going to move to table the appointment of Mr. Tomello to the 40B committee.
I'll second the motion, but if I can speak for the committee, Mr. DeMello actually came before the committee and spoke to the committee. Committee was well aware that he had an interest in it, that, you know, and we support him being on the board. We did have some confusion as to, did the Board of Selectmen back in 2007, 2008, when they formed this committee, well, you're saying it was 6 members, we'll have to change that. And I feel, personally, I feel that all members should be able to vote. Now, we're not having we haven't scheduled another meeting. Jonathan Gale is going to check out some things, and then we're going to actually schedule a meeting probably for March, so I don't know if you want to wait that long to make this decision on this.
My concern would be primarily not holding up any work of the committee.
It won't hold up any, I just don't want to insult Mr. DeMello that
Of course.
we're not
And we
interested.
want more people to get
We want
involved.
more people, and for a committee like that, with our mission, the more ideas, the more, it's helpful.
Absolutely.
We need to get the correct spelling of his name also, because we've got
It's
two,
DEMELO.
but it's D capital M, right?
I believe it is capital.
DE
It
Do we have-
capital
It
M-E-L-O.
is only
I
one L.
believe it is, yeah.
Mine has.
This
Okay,
is-
Oh,
yeah.
1L.
okay, because
Oh, I
when I saw this, I thought, that doesn't look right, and I knew that one wasn't right. Okay.
The good thing is whether the M is capitalized or not is pronounced the same. Okay.
It's
so
Portuguese
we
either
have
way,
a-
right? It's Portuguese either
So
way.
you're gonna motion to table?
Yep, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor to tables?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So when you list vacancies
Mhm.
on any committee, is there an application process? Someone comes down here, they file the application?
Or they do it online, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so where does that application go?
To whatever board they're filing for.
No, the applications, okay, so
Oh, sorry, I'm skipped
No,
a
no,
step.
no,
I
you're-
skipped
you're-
a step.
you're correct. If you do a paper one, you hand it to whoever is the board. If you do it online, I think it comes to the Board of Selectmen
So,
by
and our,
default.
yeah, and our process is if we do receive one, we send
give
it
it to
to
the board.
whichever committee it is for, and that's what I was commenting on. Whatever committee it is, they make a recommendation and vote, to recommend or not. and then it comes here for them to vote. So yes, this did go before the 40B committee, yes, they did approve it, but we're finding out now that they're not aware that they have a non-voting member, and if that person was appointed as such, the votes are null and void.
And
So
who is the
there's-
non-voting member? now,
Exactly.
so-
Karen does have that listed,
Okay,
but there's,
that was my
this,
question.
this sounds silly, but it is a procedure thing and it does matter. Specifically to committees that operate under statute that would have been created at town meeting.
Correct.
Because you can't just change it by a vote, you need to go to town meeting. So it's
Like
very
an
important. The
agricultural
origin is very
commission.
important, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm a non-voting member of the AgCom, that's by virtue of the
Bylaw.
bylaw that was passed, which stipulated there would be 2 non-voting members. One of them would be the Board of Selectmen, 1 member.
So for, even to get to a recommendation, you would need to obviously do your due diligence to know.
That's the theory, yeah.
Okay. Well, no, policies, again,
Yeah.
policies should be in place.
Thank you. Any, excuse me, any further questions before we take a vote to table this?
We weren't supposed to discuss it, actually.
Yeah, no, well, there was an audience question.
Public input.
Well, we want our public to
Yeah,
not have to
absolutely.
wait and write down their questions.
Absolutely.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes to table this. Next on the agenda, and we don't read these anymore, but we did receive a scholarship opportunity from Harbor One Bank. This, just so everyone knows, there is an application available online. It is a scholarship for local local high school seniors. It's available at harbor1.com/scholarship, and applications opened on February 1st, 2019. You will have to go to the website for a deadline because I
This bank.
don't see it.
Where is Harbor
I've
One
seen
Bank?
Harbor One, there's one in
I love
Bridgewater.
Harbor One. They serve cookies
Yeah.
on Fridays. So I have one in Easton. There's a major one in Brockton where their hub is, and they're
in
kind of up
Bridgewater,
towards
isn't
there. But they bake in an easy bake oven type thing.
Nice.
Otis Spunkmeyer cookies on Fridays, and it smells delicious.
So,
With the easy bake oven that has a
It's like a
light bulb.
toaster oven, I think. I mean, it's very, low key. It's not that easy bake oven. TM, yeah.
I'm getting, that just reminded me that I'm getting hungry.
I was
so
just
we need
saying,
to
he's
conclude.
starving here.
All right, announcements. So I don't have any formal ones, but I will say that we are having a special meeting next week, primarily for budget-related issues. It will be on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, here at Town Hall, starting promptly at 5:30 p.m. We do not usually require our cable committee to come into special meetings, so there's no guarantee that it will be streamed live on Channel 9 or recorded for that matter. So if you're interested in budget stuff, come down next week at 5:30 p.m. We have a couple of selectmen's reports. The first is, both of them are Selectman Goulart. The first is Bristol County Advisory Board. Oh, and we did, before we get to the reports, have a Gazette article based on when the Lions Club came in.
Front page.
Right? Did their presentation on life-saving tools. In particular, there was that
File for Life.
Correct.
And the People Locator.
and the people locator. So one thing I wanted to say about the people locator, because a couple of people reached out to me about it, was that, does anyone remember back in the day, the people locator was put on the window?
Right.
And then you
couldn't get
moved
it
out
off.
and it didn't come
Oh, as
off,
a
so they
sticker,
finally
yes.
got savvy with the little suction cup.
And they're very tough to take out,
They are.
take off the
Right.
window, so.
They had to scrape them off.
They'll be there after the house
We
isn't
have some
standing
at
anymore.
the town clerk's office still, if you're looking to have some.
What was that, town clerk's office?
Town clerk's office, they have
Some.
some.
Okay, perfect. So that was fantastic. And if you didn't get a chance, please check up on the Gazette write-up that was in the February 6, 2019 Taunton Daily
Will you
Gazette.
post that somewhere? Because I put it in a plastic folder. If we could hang it, like on a bulletin board or something, so people could see it, because it's a nice article.
And it was put on the town's Facebook page, and
Oh,
we shared it. Yeah, so we wanted people to
Okay,
know.
Mr. Chairman, under Selectmen's report, Bristol County Advisory Committee was last Thursday night. We did not have a quorum, and therefore, we've got to meet the end of this month. Excuse me, it was 2 weeks ago, Thursday night. We didn't have a quorum. We had 49.19% present. And so we got to meet the end of this month because we still got that budget to work on.
You need to find that hundredth of a person to show up.
If either Berkeley or Norton had showed, small communities, we'd have been all set. But in any case, what they did show us was a recruitment film that was actually filmed on the campus. There were some interviews with students. It showed student activities. And they used the drone, so they had a lot of aerial photography. And it was really nice because you could see a tractor in the field. You saw the river. You saw the bridge in several of the pictures. It was just gorgeous. The riding state, the area where the equestrian program is, and it was really nice. And then the other thing we did was they gave us a virtual tour of the North Campus. And we actually, virtually, got to go between the two rows of buildings. And what I will say to everybody is the buildings that are proposed will be red brick. They're gonna fit the neighborhood. Some of the architectural design for the new buildings have been copied from Gilbert Hall, and some of the rock trim that they're going to use on the new buildings when they renovate Gilbert Hall, some of that trim will be on the South Campus, so it'll tie it all together. A week ago, I'm losing track of time. 2 weeks ago, Friday, Sergeant David McGurk and Detective Ryan Richards attended the Bristol County, the Children's Advocacy Center of Bristol County with me. This is the meeting you and I went to, I brought back materials for parents. These will be available here at Town Hall. This company, this organization, I should say, works with families, children, and they deal with all sorts of abuse issues. There's some very important information here. There's a book here that tells you, a coloring book, that actually helps you talk to your small children about contact with people who may be potential abusers. So I will just say this is available. Anyone who wants to come in, it's here. Their information, their address is here. They're located in Fall River, but they have a wealth of information, and it's something very timely and very important, especially if you have small children. And then the last thing today was the MMA meeting. We started up with our new appointees following the annual meeting.
Was this the policy committee, Selectman Gould?
On energy and the environment. And Representative Peter Durant from the 6th Worcester District came in, and he wants the MMA to support this bill. Doesn't have a number yet, but it's House Docket 1148, and it was filed the 15th of January. This bill actually amends a section of the law that covers solar farms. And in talking with Mrs. Beauregard, what I found out is the gentleman from North Dartmouth, who has been helping us and advising us, actually helped get this formed. And so this proposal will change status relative to taxable and non-taxable. So they're hoping to tighten up some of the language. One community said they are really concerned. They're facing the potential loss of $1 million in tax revenue if this doesn't get straightened up. And I said, we're still hanging tough. We've got two that haven't gone to town meeting, and we have no intent of bringing it to town meeting at this point. But that was one piece of legislation. Another one is to try to reduce recycling costs in the Commonwealth. An act to reduce paper and packaging waste in the Commonwealth. Another one was an act to promote local energy resiliency and an act to enhance municipal leadership and energy autonomy. They would actually like to give communities the power to negotiate with power companies like National Grid. In other words, let's sit down and talk about your providing services similar to what you do with cable. And what I said to them, and I gave her my card, in our community, we have both a municipal provider and a private. So this is something, if it were possible for us to negotiate, to have the public utility do the entire town. But I said, This is one of the things you probably don't know about. There are probably other communities like us. But in any case, it was one thing right after the other. Boom, 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 boom. There was so much to cover. We have quite widespread representation. We have quite a few new members too. But anyhow, it was, the agenda was packed, and we went from 11 to 1:30 straight through. So it was a good meeting.
Thank you. So we have acknowledgements, thank you letters for Dunkin' Donuts and Hannaford's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dunkin' Donuts and
Right, so we're
Hannaford's,
gonna
we will be sending you
send you a
letters
thank you letter.
apparently.
This is for Old Town Hall ribbon cutting.
Right, and Mrs. Santos will know who the person is at Dunkin' Donuts, and when I go to Hannaford's this week, I will look, it was the assistant manager who was very generous in giving us a discount, giving me a discount on the cake. So I will get his name so we can address him directly.
Perfect. We'll be happy to sign the letter. Okay, minutes. Oh, we didn't, so Old Town Hall was opened, so we haven't met in quite a while. So our last meeting was January 23rd, and this just jogged my memory. So it was great. There was actually a lot of people who turned out, which was really exciting, and it was a very special event. It was nice to have everyone there. We also had our state delegation present, State Representative Pat Haddad, State Senator Mark Pacheco, and I wanted to publicly thank the ribbon cutting committee, of which my colleagues were both a part. I know Collector Treasurer Hathaway, is also a part of that.
Sue Medeiros,
And
Jim Aguirre.
Sue Medeiros, our town clerk, Mr. Aguirre, our building commissioner, as well as our town historian, Myrna Santos.
And
And
Chris
Pacheco.
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 I know.
I'm looking right at you.
You're not the only
Mrs.
person that's
Pacheco.
forgotten.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Was on
thank
the
you for
committee.
all
Thank
you
Nancy,
do.
for, Mrs.
Thank
Goulart
you.
for mentioning that.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to thank the committee. They put together a very nice setup, a very nice event. It went seamlessly, and it was very special to be a part of that.
Chris
So
was
we
our
wanna thank
safe-serve
everyone.
person in charge of refreshments. She was the one who's in charge of that because she's certified, so that went well.
Very nice.
Integral, that's integral. I'm sorry.
Especially since the Board of Health is located
Right.
downstairs.
And it should be noted that Senator Pacheco, as well as State Representative Pat Haddad, acknowledged that they did nothing to contribute to the town hall being renovated, and it was the taxpayers that footed the bill. So, thanking the taxpayers.
They said they'd take credit for it, but they really didn't do anything.
And I thought that was nice of them to acknowledge that.
I do too, that was pretty great, and
Yes.
I liked how they recognized the town doing what it can to make a big difference, and that was nice, nice comments.
We
It's on
also-
cable, by the way, it was
Correct.
recorded if you want to see it.
Was it recorded? Yeah.
Yes.
We also recognize the Intertribal Council for taking care of the former Grange Hall, I guess you could say, before it re-became the Old Town Hall, and was renovated, so we thank them as well.
And Rusty Haskell, the current chief, was present.
Correct.
So if you happen to catch this, thanks for showing up, Rusty. We enjoyed having you there.
Absolutely. Okay, minutes. My suggestion, do the first one except for review separate, and then the last 5 as a block, because they're all approval.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept for review the minutes of the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting of January 23rd,
Second.
2019.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes.
Just for clarification on the motion that you want us to make, I was not a member of the board for F, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for Selectmen's regular meeting of December 19th, 2018, January 9th, 2019, and January 10th, 2019.
Second?
We have a motion, and thank you for pointing that out. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of the Selectmen's regular meetings on October 18th and 25th and November 29th, 2017.
We have, I'm going to step down and second that motion. I was thinking of something else. Discussion. I do have a question. This is what I was honestly thinking about. So if something happened, like, you know, you were the only selectman or I was the only selectman, that two people resigned, how did those minutes get approved?
You would make notion of that, and you could still move
Okay.
to approve them.
I was always curious.
And just hope we never get in that situation.
Yeah, well,
We won't, because we're now on an awesome
Correct.
process that won't let us do that. Okay.
But the other thing too is where they're all recorded, and if we didn't have selectmen, the town clerk would be the one in charge, and they can just look at them and say, yeah, they're right.
I'll put them in the file.
We'll okay those.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions?
I abstain.
The ayes have it, that motion passes. Approval of the warrant, Selectman Goulart.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that the warrants dated January 30th, number 31A-19 in the amount of $98,042.18 payroll. 31B-19 in the amount of $23,376.65. 31C-19 in the amount of $463,622.17, the last two being account payable, be approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrants dated February 6th, number 32A-19, in the amount of $92,381.24 payroll. 32B-19 in the amount of $249,305.20 accounts payable be approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion passes.
And I have one more set. Mr. Chairman, I move that warrants dated February 13th, number 33A-19, in the amount of $91,116 payroll. Number 33B-19, in the amount of $240,459.30, and warrant 33C-19 in the amount of $2,522,657.75, the last two being accounts payable, and the very last one being the DR payment be approved.
Yes.
Phew.
Yes, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No questions about the $2 million?
Maybe we should hold that one up.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes. We have no public, so I am entertaining motions to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those, no discussion on this one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. That motion passes. Public, thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful evening and a nice Valentine's Day tomorrow.
That's right, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
And we'll
Thanks,
see you
Cable.
next week. Maybe. Maybe not. It's tough for them, you know, to ask
Yes,
people to
yes,
come
yeah.
like weekly. I don't even know how they used to do it.